Looker Studio is dead and Data Studio is back. If that sounds confusing, it is because a lot has changed, while most people weren't paying attention. If you have been using Looker Studio or now Data Studio in the past, especially from this channel, what you're about to see today is not the tool you remember. The interface has changed, the way people build reports has changed. Most importantly, what businesses expect from it has also changed. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what actually changed, what it means to you as a data analyst, and why this matters if you're building dashboards for businesses. Now let's build some context around this. If you have been following us for some years now, we have made loads of videos around Looker Studio, and as you can see, this is our series around Looker Studio. We have some quite a sizable number of videos here for you to follow, and they are still working, they are still valid as of today. And this is amongst other courses we have also made. As you know what is happening in the industry, over the last couple of years, a lot has really changed. AI has really taken the world by surprise, and our industry is not exempted. Because of that, these tools have continued to evolve to meet the changing needs of data professionals and businesses. And while that was happening, Data Studio did not sit still. Google quietly changed a whole lot of things. Today, I'm going to bring you up to speed in a very practical way. Not just what has changed technically, but what it means to you as a data professional and to businesses. Now, let us address the obvious. Data Studio, Looker Studio, now Data Studio. What is going on? Why the name change? Alright, let's pause. I will take you down the memory lane. When I started using this amazing tool, it was known as Data Studio. Well, that is the name it was when Google bought it over. And they continued using it, continued making it free for us, while the enterprise level product was Looker within the cloud platform. Then after some years, which is about 2 years ago, Google changed this name to Looker Studio. Let it have the same name with their enterprise level solution, which is the Looker. Apparently, Google noticed that this name is causing some confusion amongst their users. That is why they decided to move it back to the name it was, Data Studio, but with some amazing changes. Like, there are loads of amazing changes, which I'm going to walk you through today. Alright, so that is the context around some of these changes you're seeing. It started with Data Studio, and then it was renamed to Looker Studio, and thank God we are back to Data Studio. In fact, it is easier so that when I'm referencing to my client Data Studio, I'm talking about this BI tool that is outside the core cloud platform. When I'm talking about Looker, we're talking about the BI that is part of Google's cloud platform, which is GCP. Good, let's go on. So what Google has essentially done is to reshape the tool again. Your old reports are not broken. Everything you built before is still intact. It works as it should, no issues. But the way you build going forward is now very different. Different interface and so many other things. And if you ignore these changes going forward, you will end up building reports that feel outdated. Now let's dive into Looker Studio so I will show you what is happening. Alright, when you get to Looker Studio, this is the interface you see going forward. So when you look at this, you will notice we have the create a report, which takes you to the report page. We have the chat with data. Now this uses Gemini for all your conversation, and that is conversational analytics, which is the same thing with what you see here. Either of these buttons will take you to the same place. We'll get back to it in a few minutes. Now, this is where you also get to learn more about Data Studio, and as you can see it, the name is now Data Studio. Alright, let's proceed. And by the side, you will see the most recent, which you see here. That's the most recent report. I have about 5 of them here, which I built in the past. Like I said, nothing has broken. It is still there. And then you have your data sources, which is still there. And now you have the Explorer. It's no longer in beta. So from here, you can still create reports. Alright, so let's go down there. So by the left here, you also see the share with me, owned by me, trash, the templates, they all here. But if you open a new report, the first thing you will see is this. I'm going to use this Google Analytics one. So the first thing you will notice is this. you see two different types of interface you can build. Now let me close this property pane to expand it. Good. You notice this free form layout, which is the original layout that Lucas Studio has. And then you have this responsive layout, and you see how it adjusts easily. This is the new layout that you're going to be working with going forward. But the beauty of it is that Lucas Studio also decided to allow you choose the one you like. But there is a caveat here. So let's say I start with this responsive layout. Alright, so you can see what we have here. It is very nice. So when I am done with whatever I am doing here, if I want to create another one under, I can just click here and I can drag one on top of the other and the other one will go down. It's so easy, and I can also add controller, I can add chart. I can also come and add it from here. It is beautiful. So at the start, I chose this responsive layout, but I could also go to the theme and layout, click on layouts, and change them here, freeform and responsive. If you remember initially, I chose the responsive layer. Now I can click here and it will say changing this layer is irreversible. If I change this layout, it is irreversible. So apparently Lucas Studio gives us one opportunity to change our layouts, and if we change it, it is irreversible. So from the responsive layer, I will say yes, I want the free form layout, and I have the original layout that we are used to when we started using Lucas Studio, where you keep adding things as much as you wish. But it is not responsive, because what happens here is that when you build reports, they are really inconsistent, alignment were messy, and scaling across business became very difficult, except with someone who is really experienced with their design. But that takes time. Now with the responsive layer, you can design with structure. Report looks consistent across multiple departments, and it is easier to standardize report. So from a business perspective, this is a very huge one. Remember, this is a B2B, so it is built for businesses, because dashboards are no longer just personal tools, they are becoming organizational assets. The next major update is cross data source filtering. Now, if you agree with me, when you are building your dashboard, you notice that you are able to enable this cross filtering. As soon as I enable that cross filtering, when I click on a data point here, it filters across that visual or any other visual. However, this is not working. Why? Because if I click here, you notice that this is coming from the fat sale data source, and when I click here, it is coming from the shipping data source. So these are all the data sources we've got, the three of them. These visuals are coming from two different data sources, and that is why they cannot filter. For your cross filtering to work, whenever you enable it on the visual, for it to work, you need to ensure that it is coming from the same data source. But now Lucas Studio has made it possible for you to still be able to filter even when they are not coming from the same data source, and I'm going to show you that. If I head on to the next page here, so this is coming from the shipping data source, and this is coming from the fat sales. However, if I go back here, click on the view and try to test it, this is coming from a different page, the first page I have here. If I try to test it here, it filters across the next page. Can you see that data point here? That data point, that's pointing on the same December 12th, December 12th. They are not the same data, they are two different data and coming from two different data sources, but they can easily filter across themselves. This is what Lucas Studio has made possible, and this is a fantastic feature for me, if you ask me. If I click on it now, it resets. Right now, to be able to do this, I have another video in the description. If you click on it, you will see how to implement this, and that is it on the third one that has come on board. The same cross-level filter, multiple data sources, you have it, consistency across your data sources, which is very beautiful. Now for data professionals, this removes loads of complexity. For business users, it means something even more important: consistency. So when a CEO selects a region or a date from a particular visual, every number updates correctly, no issues, no confusion, no conflicting reports, and that is a fantastic feature that I think Lucas Studio has brought on board. Alright, That is beautiful. The next one is the one I love the most. Guys, you're not gonna sleep on this. This is the conversational layer on Looker Studio. So I showed you that. I told you we're gonna come back to it in a moment. So we go back to my landing page. Now, when you look at this, you will notice at the bottom here we have this conversational analytics. I also notice it here, chat with my data. They are two different statements but mean the same thing. They will route you to the same page. So let's head on. Before I move into this, what this essentially does is it works with your data and BigQuery. When you connect your data and BigQuery, then you chat with the AI, which is powered by Gemini. It gives you the analytics you want, but the onus is on you to verify the correctness of this analytics or this report it's giving to you. But with a well-structured semantic layer in BigQuery, you are most likely going to get the correct result. But when the data in your BigQuery is messy, I'm afraid I cannot assure you that you're going to get the right result. So to be able to do this, you need to click on this and it brings you to chat with your data. Now notice something. It says there's no agents yet. But for you to be able to start using it, you need someone to set it up for you. When this is set up, you can now interact with your data in a more conversational way. You ask questions, you get summaries. Now let's be honest. This is still evolving, but the direction is very clear. Businesses are moving towards faster, more intuitive data interactions. Not everyone wants to build dashboard, and this is very important. Some just want answer. You ready for this revolution coming? If you are ready for this revolution, this is where you come in. Instead of jumping around trying to look for a company to build dashboards for, you can build this layer for them in their BigQuery and connect their agent to the BigQuery. These are new opportunities that are coming every day. It is not business as usual. You build this agentic layer around their BigQuery semantic layer and they start having conversational analytics with their data. This is a new opportunity you want to key in as a data professional, because the truth is businesses will need people that will create this agentic layer for them and prepare their semantic layer in BigQuery for them. Be part of this revolution. Don't run away from it. To be able to do this, notice if I go to click on more, notice what it says here. This is an early stage experiment. Gemini can be wrong, or it could also be right, but so it is on you to carefully validate the results that Gemini gives to you. And to be able to set them up, you see the documentation here. This will be a guide for you, and I encourage you to read this up. You will learn how to set it up. This is going to be in a different video. Get yourself ready. Start building this solution for businesses so that you don't go out of business yourself or you don't go out of jobs. What does this really mean for businesses? These changes are not just about Looker Studio or Data Studio. They reflect a bigger shift. Businesses are no longer satisfied with static reports, inconsistent dashboard, and slow insights. No, they want structured reporting, consistent metrics, faster decision making, and scalable analytics system. And tools like Looker Studio are evolving to support this shift. All right, I'm not trying to scare you here, but the question is, what does this really mean for you? What does it mean for me? What does it mean to the entire data professional industry? If you are a data professional, you need to start thinking beyond just building dashboard. You need to start thinking about structure, consistency, scalability. If you are a business owner or a leader, you should start asking better questions. Not just do we have dashboard, but can we trust the data behind it? Because a tool is only part of the equation. The real value comes from how data is being managed before it gets here. So yes, Looker Studio has changed to Data Studio, but for the better. But more importantly, the expectations around data has changed. It is not just about the tool, and this channel is going to evolve with that. We will still cover tools like this, but we'll also go deeper into what happens behind the scene, because that is where the real value is created. Let me know in the comments, are you still using Looker Studio, and what are you using it for right now? What are the challenges you have? If you're interested in modern data analytics, business reporting, and how data actually drives business decisions, you should make sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you are my returning subscriber, thank you. Stay put, because we are doing amazing things. The journey is going to be really interesting. Remember, the best way to support me in this video is to give this video a like, share it amongst your friends. This is how YouTube ranks my videos so that it gets to the right people that needs to see it. And until I see you again, keep analyzing.